What if I told you that there's a higher power that could improve your marketing, sharpen your communication, and give you the upper hand in lead flow, sales, and client retention? If you align with Mercury, he will show you how to get new clients while keeping your current ones for longer. He will increase your business intelligence so that you can make faster and sharper decisions, and he will guide you through periods of chaos with cleverness, clarity, and speed. Just don't expect him to play by your rules, because Mercury is a trickster, clever, disruptive, and always 10 steps ahead. He'll hand you a gift with one hand while untying your shoelaces with the other, only for you to realize moments later that those shoes wouldn't have taken you where you were supposed to go anyway. That's the nature of Mercury. He moves fast, thinks faster, and only rewards those who can keep up with his games. But in a capitalistic world, Mercury is an ally that you're really going to want to have on your side. And all you need to do is take the first step onto his path. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you everything you need to do that. The knowledge, the tools, and the timing. If you stay until the end of this video, you will have exactly what you need to start building momentum, magic, and effective marketing through Mercury. So let's jump right in. Mercury is a fast-moving, quick-talking, and endlessly adaptable deity. He governs activities that require precision, speed, and sharpness, including communication, technology, business, logic, astrology, and magic. This immediately makes Mercury a very practical ally to have because so much of our world fits within these activities. But the real key here is that if you have a good relationship with Mercury, and if you know how to deploy his power, you can infuse it into some of life's most important areas. And I speak to this directly from a position of experience as someone who has used these techniques to achieve financial freedom. The biggest factor that has fueled my business success over the years was my ability to blend 3 Mercury fields of science together: business, astrology, and magic. It was never that I worked harder or had more skill in business. My edge was always that I had higher powers and correct timing on my side. And this perfectly explains the elusive yet effective gifts of Mercury. You don't have to outwork anyone if you're always first in line. And that's why we always want to have Mercury on our side. So let's explore this cosmic trickster. Mercury's key traits are intelligence, communication, agility, opportunity flow, and divine realignment. When Mercury is active in your life, you'll notice information flying in, ideas coming alive, and rapid changes that push you to move smarter and faster than your competition. This is not a deity who appreciates stagnation. It's sort of similar to Mars in that way. Mercury is a deity who cultivates success through movement, action, and divine realignment or divine adjustment. You have a plan for how you want to achieve something? Cool. Guess what? Mercury's got a better one. It probably won't be what you expect, but it works every time. Mercury is the divine spark behind strategic breakthroughs, copy that converts, deals that close, and of course, the occasional system crash that shows you exactly where your weak point has been hiding all along. To work with Mercury is to think sharper, speak clearer, and act faster, always with the awareness that he moves just ahead of you, inviting you to stay alert, clever, and curious. For sure, not everyone will be able to keep up with Mercury's current, but for those who can, you've already won. You just haven't realized it yet. And that's sort of part of the great joke when it comes to Mercury. The level of strategic advantage provided here is so absurdly powerful that you won't even recognize how good your plans are until you get ahead of time and then can look back at them in retrospect. And to make this all more practical, I'm going to share some of my personal experiences working with Mercury over the years. Now, I was born with Mercury in retrograde, which has created some additional challenge for me when working magically around Mercury. And this is going to shine through when I walk through my experiences because Mercury will often tend to be quite corrective around me, focusing more on correcting the mistakes that I naturally make instead of just opening doorways directly. So I just want to clarify that a lot of my experiences with Mercury are very influenced by the fact that my birth chart carries that minor Mercury affliction, which is that Mercury retrograde. Now, one of the examples that came recently was just such a clear and strong example of Mercury's magic. So what happened is that I got connected to a potential big client. This person was operating well into the 7 and 8 figure mark, so there was a lot of potential business here. And we had a time for an introduction call booked, but then I invoked Mercury. And later that day, at around 6 p.m. local time, this person asked me if we could move the meeting to that exact moment. And I said, no, sorry, I can't do that. Let's keep the time we had, which was then the next day, because it was already pretty late in the day at 6 p.m. Now, unfortunately, that meeting that we had scheduled that next day actually ended up getting cancelled because this other person was about to travel and there was just something that got moved around within their travel plans. And that travel was going to last for 6 weeks. By the time the person got back from their travels, they had already had certain experiences which had filled their cup beyond the point of wanting to begin a magical practice. So, can you see what happened here? Mercury, like all deities, could see through time and understand that this was going to happen unless I had the sales call before the prospect left for their travels. But I didn't move fast enough. I didn't keep up with the pace of Mercury, so I lost that potential business opportunity. This is a really good Mercury example because it demonstrates some of the core traits of Mercury in action: speed, agility, and that ability to realign oneself at a moment's notice. In my earlier years working with Mercury, I struggled with this quite a lot, but now I'm really starting to understand how Mercury moves, and that's allowing me to capture more opportunity when it's actually present in the moment. This is classic Mercury: fast timing, unexpected reversals, and strategic paradox. He didn't punish me, he was testing my ability to adapt, and it taught me a very valuable lesson in that process. Now, in a second example, here we can see the positive nature of Mercury at work. So in this situation, I had a sales call booked, and I put it on a Wednesday intentionally, which is the day of Mercury. I did this so that I could make offerings for a successful sales outcome, keeping in mind that Mercury is the planet that rules over sales. Now, I was pretty confident about this particular call because I already had a decent relationship with the prospect and I just felt good about it in general. So I got on the call, I closed the deal, and after that, still on the same call, the person who I had just closed, which means sold in sales terms, ended up trying to convince me to take on another client, which was one of his friends. Now, I just thought this whole situation was so hilarious. Here I am on a sales call, having made a sale, and I'm getting sold myself to accept another client into my own business. The whole thing just felt very paradoxical in the best possible way, and I thought it was one of the most hilarious Mercury moments I've ever seen in my life. The whole experience just projected that super mercurial, tricksterish, unexpected victory type of situation. And yeah, I will always remember that because it was just so unique. So there we have it. 2 unique examples which both portray different sides of classic Mercury dynamics applied in an everyday business environment. In the first example, he wasn't punishing me, he was testing my ability to adapt and making sure that I remembered that lesson for the future. And in the second example, which is more typical of Mercury, he opened a doorway for me that I would have never thought to look for myself, teaching me again a valuable lesson to always keep my mind open to where expansion might be hiding just around the corner. After years of working with Mercury, he has taught me some very important lessons. I've come to understand the value of divine flexibility, humbly accepting that I may not always know the best pathway to success. I've become firm enough to work towards my goals, yet fluid enough to adapt my strategy when needed. I was taught to speak in words weaved through light, crafting persuasive points, and I've been shown the brilliance of divine intelligence. Mercury might play games, but every game is a lesson, and every lesson has a reward. As I said around Jupiter in another episode of the Planetary Magic series, I don't really need to go very far to demonstrate that Mercury is operating through me, because my words carry a unique type of poetic clarity which is typical of someone who works with benevolent higher powers. As with all the magic I practice, I'll just do what I do and let the results speak for themselves. So now that you've been introduced to the nature of Mercury, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you can build a successful relationship with him. And to do this, we're about to explore some key principles when working with Mercury. But before we go any further, there's a link below this video to join the free School of Wealth Magic. Inside of this, you'll get instant access to the Mercury Magic Guide, which is a free PDF that gives you the exact tools, timing, and step-by-step methods to start working with Mercury. If you're serious about growing your business while increasing your clarity and mental power, click the link, join the school, and open the guide now, because this first principle that we're about to go through is actually explained in that PDF as well. So it would be really good if you could pull it up and we could go through this together. Okay, so the number one principle when working with Mercury is correct timing. Mercury is most responsive when approached on Wednesdays during a specific window known as the hour of Mercury. Now, this window of time is going to change depending on your location and time of the year, but don't worry, it's very easy to calculate. In the Mercury Magic Guide, I give clear instructions and a website that will automatically find the exact times for your location. It takes less than 30 seconds, and once you know how to do this, you'll always be able to align with Mercury's energy when it's at its strongest. But we also know that not everyone will always be available during these time windows. And because of that, I have personally invented a new method that allows you to approach Mercury anytime you want. So there's no excuse, because in 1 week, you could start building an incredibly powerful relationship with Mercury and enjoy all the many benefits associated with that, and you could do that relationship building process at any point in time. That is success handed to you on a silver platter. Now, the second principle when it comes to working with Mercury is that you're going to need a good sense of humor. Because make no mistake, you will be the butt of the joke at some point. Mercury is a trickster. He's clever, mischievous, and he loves to mess with people who take themselves too seriously. If you show up with a rigid ego, expect it to get twisted, folded, and put through the cosmic laundry. But here's the thing. He's not doing this to be mean, he's doing it to keep you light. If you can laugh when he pulls the rug out from under you, if you can grin when your clever plan gets rearranged, and if you can stay playful even when you're being taught a serious lesson, then you'll be speaking Mercury's language. Humility, curiosity, and playfulness are traits that he rewards very well. Yes, this is serious work, but you don't need to be so serious while you're doing it with Mercury. It's also key to understand that Mercury teaches through paradox. Sometimes the lesson only clicks when you arrive at the point when you can laugh at yourself. That's just part of the initiation when it comes to Mercury. And more often than not, when Mercury does disrupt your plans, there's a clever reason behind it. He's not just sabotaging you, he's redirecting you, which leads perfectly into the third principle. Flexibility, speed, and agility. Mercury is a fast and agile deity, lightning quick, constantly in motion, and always thinking 10 steps ahead. If you want to work with him, you need to match his pace as best you can. This means being flexible, responsive, and being able to pivot without hesitation. Sometimes it feels like you're chasing a shadow. He's there one moment and gone the next, weaving through your plans like wind through open fingers. I've had moments where I knew that Mercury was orchestrating something, but I simply couldn't move fast enough to be able to keep up with him. And when that happens, it's not that you get punished, you just get left behind. But here's the key: don't freeze and don't get rigid. Just stay open, recalibrate, and keep moving, because Mercury will always circle back. He'll test your ability to adapt, shift your timelines, and rearrange your strategy in real time. It won't always be comfortable, but if you can stay in motion with him, things in your life and business can accelerate rapidly. And when you do lose him, because you will, your job is simple. Just find him again, adjust your course, and stay open to the next unexpected change he's trying to bring in for you. This perfectly transitions into the next principle, which is that of open-mindedness. Earlier in this video, I said, you have a plan? Cool. Mercury's got a better one. And yeah, that's not just a clever line, it's a truth that you will encounter over and over again if you work with this deity. See, we humans tend to fall in love with our own strategies. We build detailed plans. We map out our goals and we convince ourselves that we know the most efficient way to get somewhere. But Mercury doesn't think in such straight lines. He moves like a lightning bolt, jagged, unpredictable, and always aimed at the path of highest impact, just not necessarily the one that you might have expected. Sometimes Mercury will offer you a shortcut, but it will look like a detour, or he'll slam a door in your face only to have you discover a side entrance that leads you straight to the prize, skipping half the journey entirely. This is how success works with Mercury. It's fast, strange, but brilliant in hindsight. To walk with Mercury, you have to loosen your grip on how you think things should unfold, and instead stay light on your feet, curious, and ready to pivot at a moment's notice. Because while he rarely takes the obvious path, his timing is always laser sharp and his destination is always exactly where you needed to go. The fifth success principle for Mercury is curiosity and learning. One of the most underrated superpowers that Mercury offers is curiosity, that restless desire to explore new ideas, ask better questions, and go deeper into things that most people overlook. Mercury doesn't reward those who already know. He rewards those who want to know. When you carry that open, curious state of mind, Mercury empowers you with higher insight. You'll start noticing patterns in your business, spotting new angles in conversations, and unlocking answers to questions you didn't even know that you needed to ask. But the second you think you've got it figured all out, you'll find that the signal goes quiet. And that's because Mercury is a god of motion, and curiosity is motion of the mind. It keeps the channels open, keeps the information flowing, and ensures that you're always receiving the next piece of the puzzle. If you want to keep Mercury close, just keep learning. Read, study, test, tweak, and analyze. Follow strange ideas, ask uncomfortable questions. Dive into things that spark a subtle intrigue, even if they make no sense on the surface. Because Mercury doesn't always show up through logic. Sometimes he appears in a footnote, a throwaway comment, or a passing spark that leads to a breakthrough 3 months later. The principle is simple. Stay curious and Mercury will keep talking. Close your mind and he'll move on to someone else. The sixth principle is to understand that there is true power in communication. Mercury governs language, not just as a way to talk, but as a tool of power. To work with Mercury is to learn how to use words like tools, sharp, intentional, and effective. Your communication becomes more than casual expression. It becomes a means of influence, alignment, and creation. Every word you speak casts a kind of spell, so Mercury asks you, are you casting the right ones? When you begin refining your language, things start to shift. Your sales calls convert better. Your messaging cuts through the noise. People begin to feel that you know exactly what you're talking about even before they consciously realize why. This isn't just charisma, it's Mercury working through you. But Mercury won't tolerate lazy language. If you're vague, padded, or unclear, your message is more likely to miss. The timing will fall off, the magic will fizzle. He demands clarity and precision, and when you deliver it, he amplifies your voice beyond what you ever thought was possible. The real secret here is that words are spells, and Mercury is the god who teaches you how to cast them effectively. If you want to succeed in business, magic, or life, learn to speak with power and precision, because with Mercury on your side, a single sentence to the right person at the right time might just shift the entire direction of your life. The seventh principle is to understand Mercury's relationship with strategic mischief and controlled chaos. Mercury is not just playful, he's also very strategic, and one of his favorite tools is chaos. Now, chaos isn't random and it's not destruction for the sake of destruction when it's in Mercury's hands. It's calibrated disruption, or chaos with a purpose. Mercury will deliberately scramble your plans, flip routines upside down, or introduce confusion into a process right before a breakthrough. Why? Because he's stress testing your system. He's revealing your weak spots. He's sharpening your thinking. He's saying, let's see how well you really know your craft when the script disappears. This is what I call strategic mischief, and it's Mercury's way of forcing innovation through pressure. He doesn't wait for you to be ready, he just moves, and if you're too rigid, you'll break. But if you're quick on your feet, if you can keep a sense of humor, and if you can maintain your sense of direction, you will unlock results that wouldn't have been possible through linear strategy alone. This is why Mercury often appears chaotic at first. It's because he's shifting things faster than you're used to. But if you can learn to trust the current, you'll often find yourself exactly where you needed to be, but with insights and outcomes you could have never designed intentionally. That's the beauty of Mercury's chaos. It's not there to derail you, it's there to upgrade you. Let it sharpen your edges. Let it show you what breaks so that you can rebuild smarter, faster, and stronger. Because once you realize that Mercury's mischief is actually on your side, everything changes. Think about how much people fear change, how much they do to avoid it. Mercury understands that it's part of our nature as humans to seek safe conditions, but he also knows when it's time to throw you in the deep end. It might not always be fun, but it damn sure gets you exactly where you need to go. The final principle is just some quick energetic housekeeping. When working with Mercury, ritual cleanliness and clarity do matter quite a bit because those things are just in Mercury's nature. So before you begin, make sure to light a candle. This isn't just symbolic, it acts as an important layer of protection while the lines of communication between the physical and astral planes are open. It's also wise to clear the energy of your space, especially if you're in a public or unfamiliar setting. A quick cleanse with sage, Palo Santo, or your preferred method will help remove static so that Mercury's signal can come through nice and clean. Think of it like tuning a radio. You're dialing into a frequency of a very precise, high-speed intelligence. So light the candle, clear the space, set the tone, and then just wait. These simple steps will help you to have a clean, protected, and powerful experience. And of course, there will be more information about this in the Mercury Magic Guide. And also a quick tip for the beginner magicians out there, if you don't cleanse the space after the magical working, the deity will probably linger in that space, which can be good, but it really depends on where you're working that magic and whether you actually want to have that much concentrated power in a space. But just as a general rule, if you keep the candle burning, the deity will still be very present. If you blow the candle out, the deity will be less present, but if you clear the space with the smoke, which is the Palo Santo or the sage, etc., then the presence will be pretty much gone completely. Okay, so those are the key principles for achieving success with Mercury. And if you follow them, you'll be well on your way to building a strong, living connection with this incredibly powerful force. But you might be wondering, what actually happens when you call Mercury in? What should you expect during a Mercury magical working? Let me walk you through it, because in my experience, Mercury doesn't enter a space quietly. Mercury arrives like electricity, light, fast, and sharp. There's a sort of feeling in the room, a flicker in your thoughts, a shift in the air, and suddenly everything just feels more alive. You might notice your mind speeding up. For example, ideas come in faster than usual. Thoughts might start to thread themselves together in unexpected ways, like puzzle pieces clicking into place. Sometimes Mercury will come with very clear synchronicities, ones that can be particularly amusing. For example, a person that you were suddenly thinking about messages you, or a problem that you've been stuck on for weeks just resolves itself very easily. This is the tricksterish energy of Mercury, unexpected brilliance hidden in plain sight. The room itself might feel charged, not heavy, but kinetic, like something is about to happen. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's very obvious, but generally you will know that he's there. Your phone might buzz, a page might flip open in the breeze to the exact quote you need in that moment, or you'll suddenly get the urge to pivot some aspect of your business strategy, and the moment you do, everything starts to flow. Just don't try and force it. Observe, stay light, and be open. Mercury might put on a performance just because it's in his nature, but it's certainly not guaranteed, and it doesn't need to happen for the magical working to have been a great success. If you give him a clear space, a candle, and a curious mind, he's likely to leave behind ideas, instructions, or insights that can change your entire trajectory. And you also might feel nothing at all, and that's perfectly fine. This is not a show, it's a relationship building process. Your job is to show up, say hello, offer your thanks, and then move on with your day. That's how you build a real relationship, and it's how you can keep the magical current with Mercury open. So keep showing up week after week, keep listening, keep laughing when things go sideways, because with Mercury, even the chaos has a plan. And when the moment is right, the perfect message will land, especially when you need it the most. As we come to the end of this video, here's what you really need to remember. Trying to navigate life or business without Mercury is like playing chess blindfolded. You might make it eventually, but it's going to be slower, harder, and filled with unnecessary mistakes. When Mercury is in your corner, everything sharpens. Clarity, speed, insight, and direction. And that's exactly why we've created the Mercury Magic Guide, a free, powerful resource that shows you how to align with Mercury using the right methods and the correct timing. It's fast, it's simple, and it's waiting inside the free School of Wealth Magic. So click the link below, join the school for free, and check out the guide. If you're ready to think sharper, move quicker, and win more often, Mercury is an ally you're going to want to have on your side. So I'll see you inside the school.